Welcome to Book Banter with me, your host, Dianne Burkhart. I hope you will join me every Wednesday as we explore all things to do with, well, books. Let's get on with our show today. Hello, my happy people. Today is August 16th, 2023, and I am so glad that you are joining me here on Book Banter with Dianne Burkhart because we have got a fantastic show for you. Today is part 2 of my interview with Reenita Hora, and she's going to not only talk more about her book, Operation Mom, she's going to read to you from it. And you are going to love the back and forth of her characters. They are so funny. You're going to love this. So be sure to stick around all the way to the end because she does it at the end of this episode. And of course, we will also have some great new updates from Burkhart Books. We have got so much going on. I am going crazy. And some of the biggest news are the works in progress. So be sure to stick around. But let's not waste any time because there's so much good stuff in this episode. If you like comic books, we've got that. If you like family dramas, we've got that too. And we've got an author reading from her book. Who doesn't like that? So let's not waste any more time and get right to today's episode with part 2 with my guest, Reenita Hora. You have also started getting into more of a comic book realm?
Yes, indeed. I have a story series called the Arya Chronicles. The first book is called Shadow Realm. And the first book I actually wrote or developed many, many years ago. And development takes time, of course. It was published as a middle grade novel in India several years ago, but I have since then actually taken that same story, developed it further, and it is a young adult series. Before releasing the book series, I actually did what I do best is I created a narrative fiction podcast, soundscape, BBC audio drama style, found a musician partner who created the most beautiful music. Firstly, he read the story, fell in love with it, absolutely fell in love with it. It's YA fantasy, and it draws upon mythological concepts from ancient India, so ancient Indian mythology. Yeah, of course, I love it, but
That's the rich vein to draw from.
Very rich, very rich. And it can go in so many directions. And this is it. I mean, because you've got this angry, rebellious South Asian teen in San Francisco who is annoyed with his parents and not resonating with his ethnicity and is confused. I mean, teens, very confused at that age, and rejects anything to do with his ethnic background and upbringing, including the mythology that his mother raised him on. And in the wake of an accident that he causes, then ends up putting his mom in a coma, he actually seizes this mythological book, an attempt to heal her, and finds himself portaled into its story world where he needs to battle with the 10-headed demons to learn how to conquer the demons in his own ordinary world. And trying not to create too many spoilers here, you know, the 10th demon or the 10th head of that demon being the most difficult one. How about that?
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So Shadow Realm is that first book. I'm in the process of writing book 3. The book series has not been published yet because I have had offers from a few different publishers, but for one reason or the other, I haven't gone with them yet. I couldn't exactly tell you why, but there's something that is not resonating so far. So I haven't published it just yet, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to go traditional publishing, indie publishing. I mean, all of that is up for grabs. I will tell you that for the first book, I've written a book manuscript. I have also written a graphic novel manuscript, which was a finalist in the script to comic contest this year. And I am wondering whether I should also just go to Comic-Con and try and find illustrators and partners to publish it as a graphic novel. But I've also written a screenplay, which I am shopping around. That screenplay for Shadow Realm has also won a few different awards at this point. So this particular story can be fleshed out, or is being fleshed out, I should say, in many different forms. Season 2 of the narrative fiction podcast actually releases very soon on August 14th. And season 2 is actually part 1 of book 2. So it's very, very exciting. It shows Arya, the protagonist, who's a little bit older at this point, and a whole other aspect of the mythological world of ancient India that he, let's say, delves into, and sort of everything that he faces there.
Personally, as somebody who is a major comic book fan and just addicted to Comic Cons, I definitely vote that you go to one of those because I think you would definitely find your people there.
Okay. Okay. I've been thinking about it for years, and I've got to stop thinking about it and act on it. You're right.
Well, and that's actually one thing I wanted to ask you too, because most authors, whether they're indie or traditional published, they have struggles with marketing. How do you connect with your audience? And especially with you, you have so many different audiences that you need to connect with all of your different projects. How do you find your market?
Such a great question. Another one that is so difficult to answer, and there is no one size fits all.
Yeah,
You know,
that's the problem.
yeah. I was talking about this on another podcast on which I was a guest recently, and it's like if somebody could actually write the manual how to perfectly market your book and guarantee you X many sales. I mean, wouldn't we all be so happy? But that
Yeah.
doesn't exist. So I will do whatever it takes. I love speaking to my audiences in person, live. I love that more than I love anything. So anything that I can do, I will do to get to a bookstore, to do signings, to do events, etc. Of course, that is easier said than done because with the pandemic and people not traveling and that kind of thing. So certainly doing events on Zoom, live streams, chatting. But I find that it is critical to connect directly with my audiences. So I have a very, very strong newsletter list and encourage my audiences to sign up. You can sign up to my newsletter. It's on the very, very front page of my website because I have an active newsletter program. It's interactive. When I say interactive, the newsletter goes out from me to them. But I do like to take opinions and suggestions and contributions and ideas and things from my audiences as well. And they like it because, needless to say, I can see that because they sign up for the newsletters and they respond and react when I post things to them. I give them content, I give them bonus chapters. I ask them for ideas, which I then use to develop the bonus content chapters and ideas for the subsequent aspects of the story as well. So certainly those, and then of course there are more other traditional things like digital methods, ads, marketing, all that kind of stuff. I'm very active on the various social media. You'll see that certainly from Instagram, TikTok, especially those, and then also some of the others like Facebook and Twitter. And I should also mention, very importantly, chapter by episode is such a great platform for putting out a version of your story, an excerpt from your story, a chapter of your story, structured in that chap fiction style, to introduce it to a certain kind of reading population who could then be led to wherever your book exists, online or in physical bookstores, whatever, to sort of read it in its full glory. So there is that avenue as well. So lots of different avenues to be explored that I am exploring, and I encourage other authors to explore as well.
You know, and that's one thing I've actually been struggling with myself because I do write my own book series. And I have been trying so hard to build my newsletter list for years. I have given away the first audiobook to the first book in the series. I have given away extra short stories with characters from the book that go with the book series, but they're side stories that I give free to people who sign up for like the members only page. And still, I'm struggling to get people to sign up for this. And I don't know if it's because of the genre that I'm working in or if I'm just not hitting the right markets. But, that was one of the reasons why I started this podcast too, was to be able to interact a little bit more with the
Hmm.
audience by having interviews with people from all these different genres, maybe bringing in people from their audiences to find my work. But
Yes,
it can be a real struggle.
it is a real struggle. And that is reflective of life. Life is a struggle.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Don't we know that, right?
So now this is the point of the show that I like to try and do 5 quick questions that never turn out to be quick, but I'm still doing it anyway. Are you ready?
Sure. I'm as ready as I can be.
Okay, question 1. What is your favorite comfort food?
Oh, mangoes. That's an easy one. And specifically Alfonso mango, which really you will only find in and around the Maharashtra region, which is where Mumbai is and where I grew up.
Question 2. In Operation Mom, Ela has a moment where she is speechless because one of the
Mhm.
characters speaks to her, her obsession. Have you
Mhm.
ever had a moment where somebody affected you like that, made you totally frozen to the bone, speechless?
Oh, yes. Many, many moments. I mean, I am personality-wise or as a storyteller, emotional and reactive. And this goes right back to my Ayurvedic dosha, Pitta dosha, fire water element, emotional and reactive. So I react very quickly and quite deeply to external stimuli, whether that's people, situations, things happening, solid book, I will start crying, movie on screen, happiness, sadness, whatever it is. So I have had many, many moments where perhaps somebody said something and it kind of shocked me to the bone and left me speechless in a not so good way. Or moments of happiness where perhaps a piece of news came and I wasn't expecting it and I was just rendered speechless. Certainly when I saw George Michael that first time.
Mhm.
Certainly the first time I ever won a book award, I was just so happy and just grinning like a fool from ear to ear, but I couldn't say anything. So yes, there have been several moments, different moments in my life that I have been rendered speechless.
Question 3. What is your favorite book to read for pleasure?
Oh my goodness. Again, there are so many. I have these favorites. I've been known to have 4 or 5 different books at a time on my bedside table. And some of them are a new book, current book that I'm reading, but many of them are sort of old favorites. And they're very diverse. One of my favorite books of all time is Gerald Durrell's My Family and Other Animals, and his other books too, Birds, Beasts, and Relatives, because he's just so funny. He was an environmentalist and he would write in deep detail about animals, animal life, their habitat, but then they'd be interspersed with these hilarious segments about his crazy family members, crazy family members. And they would just make me laugh and still do side splitting laughter. And because I have My Family and Other Animals on my bedside table still over the years, I know which pages to go to just for the crazy family scenes, and I'll go straight to those pages because it's literally like comfort food. I have to say, so that's one of my favorites, but I will say also anything written by David Sedaris
Oh, yeah.
is vein tone, I just go straight to some of those stories again and again. His story about Santaland Diaries and being an elf in Macy's, that's my favorite Christmas story. And I will give it as a present to people year after year after year after year because it's just so perfect in every way, shape, and form.
That's
Um,
great.
but I will mention 2 other books that I love, which are also favorites, totally different kind of genre. One is The Godfather.
Mhm.
Like I said, totally different kind of genre, but the book by Mario Puzo, Godfather. And the other one is Too Big to Fail, which was about the financial crisis, the implosion of the banks, Lehman Brothers, everything that happened back in 2008. I love business stories. I love business stories. It's a whole aspect of my personality and an interest from my days on radio, Money for Nothing, and just really digging into the nuts and bolts of the inner workings of finance and business and what makes industry tick. And growing up, perhaps in a business family, but this particular industry story is one that really resonated on many levels. And my husband was also a product of Lehman Brothers at the time. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it was so personal. So yeah, I'll stop there.
I think I need to add some of those to my reading list because if you look at my bedside table, it's a lot of criminal profiling and how the FBI behavioral science unit was established and the basis of how they started putting together the criteria for profiling. I need to find some more light reading.
I like it though. That makes great fodder for developing your stories.
Oh yeah, definitely. Question 4. What is your favorite activity to de-stress when you're so busy?
Definitely to go hiking. And it really allows me to get out into nature, to hopefully an area which is not obstructed by concrete and buildings and people. I mean, of course, there are people on the hiking trails, but it gives me the ability to hopefully breathe in fresh air and to really clear my head, which is one of the reasons why I actually prefer hiking alone. It's not as if to say I don't go hiking with other people. I do that as well. But when I can go hiking alone, it actually really clears my head. I have time and space to think. And a lot of my creative ideas over the years have either been spurred or been developed or evolved or whatever in my hiking time.
So now your final question. What is your favorite George Michael song?
Oh, that is also a really hard one. I'll tell you what is not my favorite song, which is everybody else's favorite song. Can you guess?
Wake Me Up?
No, Careless Whisper.
Oh, yeah. I don't really like that one.
Yeah. So I think this might have to also do with my personality trait, which is not to go with the herd. When Careless Whisper sort of exploded on the scene, it was number one. Everybody loved it. And it was George Michael's breakout song as a solo artist.
Yeah.
Everything before that was Wham. And that was the song. That was the song and number one. And I was like, I don't like it. Maybe because of that. I don't know. But I decided that was my least favorite. But as to favorite, there's such great songs. I mean, I love Faith. I love Freedom 90. I love I'm Your Man. Some of them, such great songs. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Is there anything that you can think of that you would like the listeners to know that we have not touched on?
Well, listeners, I would love it if we became friends, if you sort of checked out my stories, if you checked out Shadow Realm, my podcast, season 2 that is dropping next week. And of course, there's season 1, which, is very much online and is fabulous. Okay, that sounds very narcissistic that I'm saying fabulous. I'd love it if you would check out Operation Mom and certainly chapter by episode. So everything is on my website, which is reenita.com, reenita.com. And I invite you to come and sign up for my email program. Sign up is on the front page, as I mentioned, because I would love to get to know you as a reader. We've been talking about diversity, inclusion, and the fact that we as a reading universe or story-consuming universe are a very diverse set of characters, and we are. So what that means is, as a storyteller and as a story creator, my inspiration actually comes from you. So I really, really would love to get to know you and invite you to come by.
Did you want to go ahead and read a little bit of the book?
Sure, I'm happy to. Should I read the opening? I mean, that's always a good place to start.
And plus, I love the back and forth in there.
Okay. Chapter 1. It all began with Dipali wanting to experiment with her sexuality. It's about discovering the feminine mystique, Dipali said. She peered out of the corner of her eye, towards the far end of the school canteen, twirling a thick lock of hair that hung down over her left ear. That's a book by Gloria Steinem. No, Betty Friedan, I replied. Yeah, don't be so literal. Just think about it. If you kiss a girl, then maybe you'll understand how a boy feels when he kisses you. It's an experiment. Interesting. The only thing I had experimented with was sulfuric acid in a lab. There must be something you want to experiment with this summer, Dipali continued, scrutinizing her perfectly manicured nails. Something that you're obsessed with, that you love, and that Auntie Veena probably despises you for. It was just like Dipali to have a dig at Auntie Veena, my mom. She did it only to test boundaries. Riling me up was a matter of entertainment for Dipali. It had been that way ever since we were 5, every play date, every sleepover. Dipali was convinced that I was too over my head in trying to please my mother. So she did everything possible to encourage me to rebel. Although this trait had annoyed me throughout our 12 or so years of friendship, it was definitely a truism that helped me confront my inadequacies. Isn't that what BFFs are for? But back to being obsessed. Yes, I knew all about that, because in no particular order, I was besotted with ice cream, puppy dogs, Ali Zafar, roller coaster rides, sleeping in on weekends, Dave. Okay, I admit that's not entirely true, so let me rephrase. In this particular order, I was crazy about Ali Zafar, Ali Zafar's voice, Ali Zafar's eyes, dreaming about Ali Zafar, ice cream, puppy dogs, roller coaster rides, sleeping in on weekends, Dave. No, not Dave. Perish the thought. He was far from being anywhere near my league. In recent days, I had more exposure to this particular so-called love interest of Dipali's. Yes, I choose my words carefully, but as long as the so-called part was still valid, I needed to put him out of my head and focus on Ali Zafar, Pakistan's hunkiest singer-songwriter, who until my very recent experience with Dave had been the object of my attention since I was 15. Mum could never stomach my obsession with Ali Zafar. As far as she was concerned, 2 years was way too long to have a teen pop idol crush. For God's sake, Ela, get a grip, she would grumble, perhaps on a weekly, if not a daily basis. I couldn't understand why it so riled her, but I did try to reason. I'm in love, Mom. You were 17 once. You should know the deal. Yes, I do know the deal. She was, as always, when it came to Ali Zafar, dismissive. The deal being that at 17, you can't tell love from the backside of a bus. Mom's metaphors are so confusing. Ali Zafar is a beautiful man. He could hardly be compared to the backside of anything. Still, you should set a more achievable target. Should. Conversations with Mom are always peppered with the word, Ela, you should. This, Ela, you should. That, perhaps I should. But in my eyes, just one target counted, Ali Zafar. He was definitely more achievable than Dave. Now, I've never been much of a groupie, but I figured I could spend most of the summer following Ali around the country from concert to concert. Some people travel, some do internships. I could make an art out of stalking my celebrity. If not an art, a science. And that's what I wanted to experiment with. Recently, while shopping at Phoenix Mills, I couldn't help but notice a horde of people and cars in front of the mall. I finagled my way into the crowd, anxious to find out what the fuss was about. A big black sedan drove up to the front. A sedan in Mumbai must be some big shot. The car door opened and out stepped a black tank-topped, skin-tight jeaned Ali Zafar, bodyguard and all. A lady-killing machine. You should have seen the jaw-dropping entourage cluster around him as he sauntered over to the popcorn vendor. My heart pounded harder and harder, and with every step he took farther into the mall, he took off his glasses and smiled into the crowd, and at one point his eyes actually met mine, the ultimate moment of romantic connection. Hey, babe, he said with a twinkle in his eye. Of course, I couldn't say anything. I mean, what can one possibly say in response to a "Hey, babe," from the world's hottest teen pop idol. I just stood there, frozen to the bone, trying to conceal the embarrassment that spread throughout my being. What I was actually nervous about, I have no idea. The sheer thrill of being acknowledged by my heartthrob had rendered me utterly useless. Within seconds, he had left me for someone else at the other end of the crowd. He posed coyly for pictures with some girl and then another girl, both of whom had been frantically pushing and shoving to get framed with him. And then his bodyguard skillfully maneuvered him into the lift. What a colossal idiot I was. Instead of standing there like a victim of Medusa, I should have gone right up front and demanded a photo with him. I hate it when my nerves take over my powers of judgment. That was 2 months ago. But of course, I haven't stopped thinking about it since. I have become increasingly obsessed with the idea of tracking him down. And why shouldn't you track him down? Dipali said, staring at her nails. We were perched at the end of the very last table at the entrance of the school canteen. It was Dipali's prime eye candy spot. In other words, spot that allowed her to be eye candy to every passing male. Dipali insisted it was something about how the sunlight floodlit that part of the canteen during the morning tea break. Apparently, it somehow encircled her like a halo from the heavens. Whatever. It was the last day of school, and I wasn't about to argue. In fact, if you can get Auntie Veena to successfully back off, then that, my friend, is one example of the perfect summer project. She was absolutely right. As always, Dipali knew how to read my needs and endorse my desire for a life of independence. So I braced myself to talk to Mom. I rightfully deserve that photo, I said to Mom at dinner one day. And more. More? She looked at me vexed. Then she crossed her arms, pursed her lips, and raised her left eyebrow, a telltale sign that she was about to psychoanalyze me. You know, if I spent my teenage years lusting after a boy in a poster, I'd never have gotten into college. Sometimes I wish Mom was a little bit more motherly in the way she talks to me. It's not lust, I replied indignantly. Right, I forgot. It's love, the kind that you get in fairy tales, she said. Her raised eyebrow had now begun to twitch. And what is wrong with fairy tales? You brought me up on them. Mum took a breath in perfect sync with her eyebrow twitching. Yes, I fed them to you when you were 5, when it was appropriate for stories to end in happily ever after. That doesn't happen in real life, you know, and certainly not with celebrities and their groupies. Technically, I'm not a groupie, I protested. I'm a fan. Fan your delusions away. You are showing signs of being a groupie, all right. Believe me, I know the difference. And how would you know it? Mothers are hardly qualified to sit in judgment on things like this. At least mine isn't. She could see that I was annoyed, but backing down is not really her thing. Why can't you be a little bit more regular like Dipali? She asked. Regular? Mum's choice of vocabulary made it sound like she was talking about Dipali's bowel movements. Still, it was my turn to react. Firstly, I think you mean normal and not regular. Okay, you know that's not what I meant, she mumbled. And secondly, Dipali, normal? Seriously, Mom? You know how much I love that girl because she's always got my back, but she's anything but normal. Dipali is not just the hottest girl in St. Xavier's, she's a legend. The high school editorial committee decided to dedicate the yearbook to her, even though another student is the daughter of an award-winning actress. Mind you, the committee is made up almost entirely of boys and a few sycophantic girls who will do anything to rub shoulders with any variety of celebrity. But that's not all. Dipali is also the most unsaintly girl to have ever been enrolled at St. Xavier's School of Pristine Catholic Values. At that point, she had 3 boyfriends, Vic, Juggy, and Dave, all at the same time. I've never been able to understand how she 3-timed them with such dexterity. She said it was never a problem and that their different personalities meant they chose different schedules. That's why Dipali wanted to experiment with kissing a girl, so that she could master the right kiss for her boys and know what it felt like during the process. At least, that's what she said. Whatever happened to the idea of eternal love for one man, like Sita? I asked her. Huh, Sita Shmita, she replied nonchalantly. If you're going to go mytho on me, at least pick Draupadi. She had it right with the 1-to-5 ratio. Of course, Dipali had to prove her intellectual commitment to feminism by referring to the one female character in Hindu mythology who is married to 5 husbands, as opposed to the more typical situation in which male characters have had multiple wives. Dipali's boyfriends knew about each other, but they really didn't seem to care, including Dev. They took what they got, and she loved the attention. So when she received texts from them a gazillion times a day, she responded instantly. Dipali said that she could sense it each time one of her boyfriends was going to text her, that she and all 3 of her boyfriends had textual chemistry. Would they even fall for this kind of stupidity? Especially Dev. Now that part irritated me. I couldn't put my finger on why. But then Dipali cannot understand the logic behind my having a crush on a celebrity in lieu of a real boyfriend. She has always been in Mom's camp on that particular subject. You stick with your textual chemistry. What Ali, Zafar, and I have is contextual chemistry. In the context of worthy objects, he is definitely worth stalking, I had said to Dipali when I unleashed my summer plans to be there in the front row and then backstage every Ali Zafar concert when he toured the country that summer. What ensued, of course, was our usual banter regarding to my borderline obsession, which I viewed simply as love for Ali Zafar.
That's great. That was so amazing because I just started reading it. I haven't finished it yet, but I always can tell if I'm going to want to get to the end of a book or not by the first few pages. And by the 3rd page, I was like, yeah, I'm going to love this book because the humor in there is just my kind of humor.
Great. So glad to hear it. Yeah. Of the few different awards it's gotten, one of the ones was for humor, actually made the finalist in the humor category. And that's the one that I am most thrilled by. Not that I have anything against romance or young adult, which were the other categories, but the humor, that's the one that thrilled me the most.
Now, for anybody who's wanting to find information about you, there is going to be links in the description of the podcast as well as on our website. And they will remain active as long as we have a podcast going on. So you will always be there. So no matter when somebody finds our podcast, they'll be able to find you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I really look forward to it. And thank you for taking all of this time. I really, really appreciate it.
I've absolutely loved talking to you today. Thank you so much. So there you have it, folks, the fabulous Reenita Hora. Be sure to check out her links in the description of today's podcast and check out all of her books, her podcast, her comic book series. There's so much for you to check out with this woman. Is just amazing. Now, I wanted to address something. Somebody was talking to me the other day about how in all of my interviews, I'm always talking about how I absolutely love the author that I'm talking to. I love their work. And how can I possibly love everybody I bring on the show? Well, there is a reason for that. I only book people that I really, truly love their work and can say that about it. I read some of their work, even if I don't get to get all the way through their book. I will read enough of it for me to know if I'm going to want to finish that book or not, and how I feel about their style and their delivery. And I only bring on people I really love what they do. So it makes it really easy for me to gush on them all the way through the episode because I'm excited to talk to them. And I want to find out their secrets and how they do it and see how much of their information I can steal to help further my own career. I mean, why would I waste such a great opportunity as this podcast to bring on people that I don't think are going to be interesting, or I can't get excited about their books? Because if I can't get excited, that's not going to make a very entertaining episode for all of you. I mean, it just makes sense. And besides all of that, I don't get an opportunity to network with other authors that I admire their work and what they're doing and how they're running their career. And this is my opportunity to network. I mean, I am a writer. I need other writers to network with. And speaking of me being a writer, I have got some news from Burkhart Books. We have got the proofs that came today in the mail for Into the West Family Ties. And I will be doing an unboxing video, which I will upload on TikTok and my other social media and show you the proofs of the 7th and final book in our Into the West Saga serial. If you've been following along, you know I have been writing the Into the West Saga serial as Stephen Burkhart, and I am getting ready to start doing a few books under my own name, Dianne Burkhart. I actually started writing the first one last night. I've been working on doing all of the plotting and getting the book set up for the 2 books I want to try and write in tandem right now. There is my FBI profiler thriller called The Touch, and then my nonfiction book called Free Bad Haircuts with Each Craniotomy, which is about all of the brain surgeries that I went through and what that was like. And spoiler alert, it sucked. Okay. But I actually started writing the Free Bad Haircuts with Each Craniotomy last night when my writing group started back up again. It had been dormant for about 8 months, but it started back up, and I wrote the first page of the book during our writing breakout. And I have to say, it really got me excited about writing this book. I even got it all laid out in my program, Vellum, today so that I can start writing the rest of the book. I am just so excited about this project. I might read you a bit of that in the next episode. And coming up on Book Banter with Dianne Burkhart, we have Chris Denmead, another comic book author of the Vlada series, who will be with us next Wednesday. After Chris, we have Carol T. Beers, who is a Western mystery writer with a bit of humor in her work. And following her, we have another mystery author, J.C. Fuller. I also have a few more guests that I'm lining up right now, trying to schedule their interviews coming up very soon. One of them happens to be the woman who runs my writing group. So many authors keep telling me how beneficial it is to have critique groups that you can go to and work on your style. And I'm so grateful to have this group, especially now that we've started back up again and we're having our regular meetings. And I wanted to bring the woman who runs this group onto my podcast to talk about what it's like to have a writing group, how she got it together, and what it takes to actually run one of these things. In case any of you are looking to join a group, you can check out hers, or you can take her advice and start your own. And just one more little bit of business before we go. I should mention, I am running a birthday promotion for Into the West Family Ties. Right now, the book is available on pre-sale on Amazon. And if you go onto our website, burkhartbooks.com, you can find our birthday promo page. And I have already put the links on there for all of the major Amazons in English-speaking countries that I could find that go straight to our buy page. You can get Into the West Family Ties ebook right now for only 99 cents. Now, be aware, it's on pre-sale, so it doesn't drop until September 19th, the publication date. But the price is going to go up October 1st. So if you want to be able to get this book for 99 cents, I suggest you pre-order it. And I'm doing this because I really, truly want to hit a bestsellers list for a paid book. My books hit them all the time when I put them up for free. But I can't seem to crack 200 whenever the books are for sale. So I'm setting this one at just 99 cents, and I'm asking you to help me celebrate my birthday, which happens to be September 19th. I really want a bestseller for my birthday. So if you're at all interested in getting this book, go right now to Amazon and pre-order it for just 99 cents and help me have a bestseller as a birthday present. I would really appreciate that. But now, you know what time it is, folks. It is that time for you all to go forth and be really, really happy.